Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Marcin.
Hi, nice to meet you. Let me actually change my name because I'm somebody
Your
who's
name is not Doom or
more
Optimism.
optimism. Yeah. Wait, here we go. Wait, can I change it here? Let's see. Okay, there we go. Um, okay, so yeah, I've heard about your work a lot. So let's just get started. The way that the format of this podcast is very informal. It's just kind of like I'll ask you questions, getting to know you. You don't really need to um, prepare that much or whatever. So we'll just get started and I'll start asking you questions. Any other
Yeah,
questions before I
actually,
start?
as far as the link on your website there, the Rhizoma Field School, that's what you
Yeah.
do full time?
No, that's kind of like one of the part-time gigs I do. The teaching is one thing, and then I do some research with different
Okay.
research. So small scale local food systems is mostly my area of
Yeah,
expertise.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So, all
So
right, we'll get started.
is Doom or Optimism like the thing that the conference just occurred a few weeks ago?
That was in the fall. There was one Doomer Optimism conference in the fall. Yeah, there's been like five different
There
conferences.
was one. So I was talking to the other people who, and
Oh
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
around October.
Ruth and Petso.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The way
How did
that
that
conference,
go?
yeah, it was good. It was really good. The so I started Doomer Optimism is the podcast.
Hmm.
Then all the people who have met through the podcast have been wanting to meet in person. So I started these events where we just sort of like same kind of stuff we talk about on the podcast, but the people meet in person.
Okay.
And then we had a couple of these events out in Wyoming, and then people who have gone to the Wyoming thing have asked me, can we do something in my area? So that's how the one started in Pennsylvania, where somebody who came to the Wyoming event said, can we do one in Pennsylvania? And I said, sure. And so that's how that went. And Ruth and Petzo are awesome.
Yeah.
It went really well. They're always very enjoyable at conferences.
Yeah. I mean, would you consider having me as a speaker there sometime in the future? Or?
Sure, yeah, sure. We're having another one in July
Yeah.
in upstate New York.
Okay.
Where are you located?
Kansas City area.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about that
Yeah.
after. Okay,
Excellent.
cool.
Excellent. All right.
Thanks,
Well,
man.
let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's do it.
Here. It's a nice countdown. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Doomer Optimism. I'm here with Marcin, let's say Jakubowski. Jakubowski. Is that
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Marcin is affiliated with, I'm not sure founder of or what, I'll let you introduce, but
Okay.
open source ecology, something I followed, probably 15 years ago.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm super curious to hear your whole story, what open source ecology is. I know what it is, but for our listeners, it's like a very doomer optimist technology. And for you, I think you're just newly coming to doomer optimism, but I'll do a brief introduction for you and for anyone who's newly listening, who doesn't really know that much about the podcast. But a lot of us are sort of old school doomers, sort of prepper types, maybe peak oil, maybe environmentalists, people who are just worried about the state and trajectory of things in civilization, and are looking for practical solutions
Mm-hmm.
to these perceived, sort of large scale societal level issues. And so I would say open source ecology is a very quintessential doomer optimist type organization kind of thinking. So welcome to the podcast. I'll have you sort of introduce
Yeah.
yourself, and
Okay.
then we'll hear a little bit maybe about the history of open source ecology, and then
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
what you're doing
And
now.
and the video's coming out, right? So this is not just audio. This is video podcast.
This is video. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So yeah, my name is Marcin. So I started group called Open Source Ecology. That was back in 2004 in my last year of my PhD program. We're heavy on the so you got doom or optimism, nice metaphor. We're heavy on the optimism side, right? So open source ecology, what we're trying to do is create open source blueprints for civilization. But we talk about integrated civilization. So beyond the kind of siloization that happens in society where the ecology of the entire ecosystem, the whole system of the earth is like right now in our academia, we're in silos and everything is somewhat disintegrated lives. People are disconnected from nature and things like that. So we're saying, okay, let's think about what a civilization reboot experiment would look like, what we can do to make a truly better world for everybody. And our claim on that is open source and specifically hardware. So open collaboration, specifically in the world of making basic human needs universally accessible to everybody. So this is the open source concept. It's integration of the principles from the world of open source, meaning open collaboration. Ecology refers to the integration of natural and human ecosystems. We're definitely heavy on technology since technology pretty much runs our lives. And that's actually a question we're trying to solve. Let's not have technology run our lives. Let's have technology serve humans. So I'll leave it at that, and maybe we can get into further questions from that.
Sure. Okay. So what was your PhD in?
Oh yeah, so plasma physics, where I discovered.
Okay, and so talk me through doing your PhD.
Oh, yeah.
Where's your mindset at that time?
Oh yeah.
All
right.
What is the and a lot of times on this podcast we like to do, because we're not interested only in doomer stuff. There's a lot of podcasts out there that are just, the world is, the sky is falling and etc. And I think that makes a lot of clicks, but it's not actually that helpful for people. And so what was your mentality at the time that made you sort of like go in this direction? To talk me through your story.
I have a decent story there. So until the first or second year of my PhD program, I was a regular subhuman making it through the day. But then actually, but then I discovered actually, so I was quite disenchanted with the program itself. So my father's a scientist. I always thought about good things that technology can do for people, and I was grossly disappointed with what I was learning. The more farther I went, the more useless I felt. And this was in physics. I did chemistry undergrad, and that was pretty disappointing and depressing. So in the second year of the PhD program, the story goes that I actually took a lifestyle engineering course where I learned to do yoga, breathing, meditation, Indian cooking, and all of that, and I pretty much turned on to a different wavelength. So the kind of exploration you see about, an operating system for Earth that comes out of principles of abundance, and as I say, we were heavy on the abundance part. We do not believe in absolutely any kind of scarcity situation on the planet based on first principles that the sun throws at us 10,000 times more power than we use today. Okay, so first principles, no problem. So I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. I would say I'm a humanist, but I do have I have a science background. So I can count, and it's like, wait a second. What's going on here? Like, we've got all this energy and therefore possibility of material abundance, yet it's not happening. We got wars, poverty, and all these issues that still exist. And I was really confused by that, and pursuing the education, I was hoping to work on these big problems, but that wasn't happening. So I pretty much kind of checked out to a new wavelength. I started the group Open Source Ecology as a nonprofit organization the last year of the PhD. But just to give you an example, even in my PhD program, I could not talk openly to others. Like we had some hot stuff in our fusion research, blah blah blah, and I thought about it. It's like, man, this is ridiculous. Even in academia, you can't really share information openly. So this is where the notions of open source started to come about. Somebody actually showed me Linux. They had this Linux laptop, and it's like, whoa, an operating system you can just install on your computer and use it. Cool. You actually have control over it. So I started thinking about that and really thinking, well, what would an economy or a human system, the Earth, what would it look like if people actually shared? It's like, because it's not happening. It's not happening even in academia. in product design, you certainly see that everything is proprietary. In school, you don't learn, like, you might think, okay, well, I got an engineering degree, so I ended up building tractors and building machines and all kinds of things. But you'd think like, oh yeah, in engineering, you probably got ready for that. In fact, the MIT Tech Review journal said, oh yeah, I had training in engineering so I could build a tractor. No, I didn't. I didn't pick up a hammer or no, you don't. It's like, so, well, for example, I mean, just to give you an example of what happens is, so you think that you're getting access to all this amazing information, but the facts are that everything that actually works, like top technology, it's all secret. So either trade secret or patent, and therefore you cannot, how can you even begin to talk about optimizing or making a better world when all this information is hidden? So that's where I got heavy into the thinking of, okay, what would it look like if we actually collaborated and started the movement to do that, to basically open source civilization, meaning R&D for everything, R&D and P, research and development and productization. The paradigm of humanity is one of openness. You can share, you can collaborate with others, and for which reason you can unleash innovation, which is not here right now. We've got global problems, the problems are increasing. We're not solving things. We're digging ourselves deeper into a hole right now, it seems. So we really need a shift.
Right. Okay, great. One comment and one question. The one comment is, what's interesting is that what there's a sort of sub movement of doomer optimism, people who have been affiliated with this podcast who are really big on right to repair.
Oh yeah.
And there's this sort of subculture, and a lot of it now seems to come out of people who are like, mechanics and truck drivers and farmers.
Absolutely.
These people who have these machines, who just sort of want to be able to have like the sovereignty to control their own machines. And so maybe you want to comment on that.
Yeah.
And I have one other question.
I described this in the TED Talk. Have you seen the TED Talk, by the way?
No, I haven't. I didn't know you
Okay.
had.
So you really need to start with the Global Village Construction Set TED Talk. It's a 4-minute introduction to my story here, and to sum it, I started this project because I bought a tractor, then it broke. I paid to get it repaired, then it broke again. Pretty soon I was broke too. I say exactly those lines in my TED Talk. And I said, this is not right. There's no way I can run a farm if that's what happens. So literally, I paid $2,000 for a transmission and broke. 2 weeks later, broke again. I'm like, no, this is not in any way sustainable. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to solve this problem for myself, I might as well solve it for everybody. So design a tractor. So we build tractors, we build machines, we build all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's a thing that just, I mean, so I started a farm, right? Right after the PhD, started a farm. And the thing that I was missing is any practical skill. So on one side is learning about agriculture, on the other side is that machines break. And I really ran into that problem, and that's kind of the core of what we're doing. We're designing and open sourcing the blueprints for the 50 key industrial machines that make modern civilization work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything from a tractor to an oven to a circuit maker to CNC machines, cars and tractors, hydraulic motors, everything.
That's great. Okay, so I want to get more into the details of that too, but the other thing I want to ask you about, that's just sort of like a base assumption, something you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to make sure I understand correctly. You said we live actually from a point of material abundance. And I want to interrogate that for two reasons. One, right now there's this, like, I don't know if you've heard of this book called Abundance by Ezra Klein and one other guy, but it's this sort of like technocratic, sort of neoliberal, kind of capitalist view of abundance that a lot of the doomer optimists are sort of bewildered by, because it's this sort of bureaucratic, technocratic vision for the future. And then the other question I have is like, whether or not you think much about the abundance of fossil fuels making industrial society happen.
Okay, I've got a really good answer for the second one.
Okay.
And let's take the first one. So I'll back up. I was born in Poland. In 1982, I came to this country. When I left, tanks were rolling down my street. There was martial law. Food was rationed. I would have to wait in line for food, shelves were empty, etc. No fun, a gray situation. So I come to this country and it's like, whoa, first time I ever stepped into a grocery store, like tens or hundreds of each brand. It was just amazing. So there's this so-called material abundance. Now, of course, there's the distribution question that we have not solved, but I did see a clear distinction between Poland and America, and I started questioning, well, what's different? It's like we have all the natural resources here and there. It's literally rocks, sunlight, plants, soil, water, like all that.
Right.
It exists there. So what's the difference? So it's operating systems. So it's your politics. It's like that Russia was taking 50% of our wealth or whatever. But you cannot forget about material abundance, as in that's the base levels of the Maslow pyramid. You've got basic needs to meet, and that's the level we're operating on. And capitalism claims to be good at solving that. I think it's not too good. Certainly, the last frontier of capitalism has absolutely not even been touched, and that is distribution. The distribution of wealth. And that's the big problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to transform the economy to abundance. So what's my take on this technocratic route? My take on that is, well, first of all, no top-down approaches. By all means, it's about absolute empowerment and distribution of power and wealth to everybody. From first principles, because we have 10,000 times more wealth than we ever need. So it's like, just forget about talking about scarcity at all. But here's the rub. It's a discipline. Efficient, effective production or abundance is not a hippie ideal. It's a discipline. It's a rigorous discipline of attaining that. So that's important. Now, capitalism aims for that kind of efficiency. It hasn't gotten far, but that's why. So our proposal is, here's the next operating system, which is open source economics. It's called the zero marginal cost society, like Jeremy Rifkin talks about in the book by the same name. Basically, that just like internet made things abundant in terms of information, so-called, you can argue that too, because you don't have any information access of real things that work. Like you don't have, like, from one perspective you have absolute abundance of information. From another perspective, it is crap. It's like I cannot, for example, download plans for a car, like an inverter, if I want to go on solar energy here. No, I mean. And you'd think that college would teach you. No, you don't learn that. You just learn generalist nonsense, general nonsense. Anyway, okay, so Ezra Klein, abundance thing. The thing that's I don't like about all this Silicon Valley stuff and all that. Now I love enterprise, and I shifted into, because what we have to do to transform the economy, it's an entrepreneurial endeavor.
Yeah.
It's a thing about, can you execute on these high ideals?
Right.
That's what we do, right?
Right.
But I have yet to see more than one. I know one entrepreneur in the world who took up open enterprise as a method to. Just to give you specifics, there's a farmer from Mexico we're working with, an elite farmer. He grows blueberries and other things, lots of crops. But he's actually adopting open source. He's saying, hey, Marcin, help me out. I want to optimize my operation with open source. So we're working right now on an open source freeze-dried fruit powder machine. We're working on open source irrigation and growing systems and all that, where we share the actual plans. So he's like, this is not for me. This is for the world. We're actually going to do that. And that's the kind of attitude that is 1 in a million. It does not exist in the entrepreneurial world.
Right.
So we are, yes, we've got amazing enterprise, like millionaires, billionaires, but that the concentration of wealth question is not being solved. I don't think it is. If you look at Gini coefficient, or like the distribution of wealth, well, Gini coefficient, if you know what that is, it's actually improving, but the concentration of wealth, it's actually not. Like there's like eight people in the world that have as much wealth as the half of the rest of the population, the 3.5 billion at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So, okay, that's not cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This particular Mexican farmer, for example, can
Yeah.
you talk me
Eduardo.
through like
Yeah.
what Eduardo, how it seems like the way it's set up now, you have to keep things proprietary such that you then are more able to compete because other people don't have your information, your
Mm-hmm.
access to your machinery or something like
Yeah.
that. So how talk me through his thinking that's different
Yeah,
than
yeah. So first of all, the man recognizes that that's a faulty mental model. You got to start there and start calling it what it is. It's a bad mental model
right.
that says that you're gonna make less wealth when you hide your stuff, and it really gets down to religion on this point. But if you study the topic carefully, even the cutting edge work in product design states that open source modular design is the way to create most wealth. Okay, so what does this man understand that others don't? It's a mindset, but it's a mindset of the lack of fear that says if I share, everybody wins.
Right.
So it's just a mental model we have to accept. And unfortunately, we live in this absolute scarcity mindset, which goes to the second question that I did not answer yet,
Yep.
which is what is this fossil fuel thing of abundance? It is absolute scarcity. Absolute scarcity. So let me explain what that means. Did you
Please.
know that all of the fossil fuels on the planet, the question for you is how many days of solar energy hitting the earth, the equivalent, that is 1 kilowatt per square meter of electrons coming, photons coming from the sun, to get my physics right here, photons come from the sun, over the entire surface, the amount of energy there, what is the equivalent of the number of days of solar energy that it took to create all the fossil fuels on the planet? Like how many days? Is it a million years? Is it 1,000 years? Is it one day?
I have no idea.
The answer is 11 days.
No.
Yes. Google this. Everybody on this podcast, study this. Google this, and your mindset will shift from doomer to optimism.
I assumed it was at least a couple thousand years.
And this is what people are missing.
Yeah.
So if you see that, if you see fossil fuels as this 11-day blip of the kind of wealth we truly have on this planet,
Yeah.
maybe you can change some things in the way approach civilization design.
Yeah. Okay. Except for then, what do you think about this? This is one of my favorite topic areas.
Yeah.
What do you think about like machines were sort of built around these fossil fuels rather than around the abundance of sunlight, and therefore we have this whole system that's sort of built around this kind of weird anomaly rather than thinking about this other kind of abundance that we can get from harnessing nature in a smart.
Well, you have to start with that it's a human fiction. We created that. Humans are responsible for that. And at the time that this was created, there were no other options. We did not have 20% efficient photovoltaics. So it's understandable, right?
Right.
But rest assured, it's a little hiccup, little pimple in world history. It's in the cosmic scale of things, that's a little bubble. So while that is what we could have done at the time, that is not what is
where we
the
have to go.
future is going.
Okay.
Absolutely
This is
not.
really
So,
yeah. Go ahead, continue.
well, and this is what I'm saying. This is just look at. I mean, this is first principles thinking, and it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe the challenge is let's translate this abstract first principle thinking into reality, and that's what we're doing. That's why we started a school, in fact. So join us. I mean, that's all I can say. This is recruiting for our school. We're starting a program where we're teaching people exactly this. How do you solve hairy problems with open source innovation? But not innovation, but really like, we're not really, I'd like to point the distinction between innovation and what we really do, because we're not really innovating anything. What I'm telling you is nothing new. I'm not a prophet of any sort. I don't claim any of that. This has all been spoken thousands of times by anyone else. But the idea is, so it's not, we're not trying to innovate. We're in some way, but the real thing is the dirty work of the brutal hard work of actually sharing, opening up designs so that everything we do, even from your tractors, like John Deere or whatever, all the products in the world, including spaceships and microchips, they become open. They become public knowledge so that we can get into things like the integrated design, which relies on that kind of integrated knowledge access. And integrated design would be much more solar. It would be net present renewable energy, all of that kind of stuff, and regenerative systems throughout. So regenerative is really the idea of integrated systems. We talk a lot about integrated education, integrated enterprise, all of that. And our very name, open source ecology, is absolutely that kind of integration, right? So that's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I'll tell you a little bit from my perspective of one thing I've been learning about over the years is, basically, okay, maybe we can go back into your history a little bit, but I started being interested in open source ecology sort of from this like peak oil, collapse of complex civilizations framework that I was interested in when I finished college in 2007.
Yeah.
A lot of people who were into the Occupy movement, for example, who had any sort of like environmental ethos, they were interested in these, like, we need to learn how to grow our own food. We need to learn how to, potentially be prepared for like the wholesale collapse of civilization. I've gone on a long journey. I spent 7 years in Uruguay on 9 acres. I'm from Chicago, so I'm just a city girl, but I went to Uruguay, learned sort of how to live on the land. I'm back to Chicago now, but went with my family and learned a lot of skills. And this is, sort of a big, important part of Doomer Optimism. A lot of people who sort of kind of went through this whole trajectory. One person who is big in Doomer Optimism, his name's Peter Allen. He's a regenerative farmer at Mastodon Valley Farms. And he sort of changed my mindset on this abundance question because he has basically, he's an ecologist by training, and he's basically learned a sort of method of farming where the way he does his farming, he thinks of himself as a human, as a keystone species, sort of similar to a mastodon in the landscape. And he argues that there's basically, not potentially infinite, but a huge amount of carrying capacity that can keep increasing based on his approach to regenerative farming, meaning he's got these rotational grazing, he can increase the topsoil, which then can increase the carrying capacity of the land. And it's just this sort of total absolute abundance mentality. And he makes these comparisons to times in North America where we had so much bison on the hoof and elk and all these different animals. It's way more meat on the hoof than we have in North America now. To sort of change people's thinking about, if you work with ecological systems, the total amount of abundance and flourishing that can happen is so incredible. So I'm wondering, does that kind of resonate with you?
Of course. Yeah. So
okay.
So how about you got Phil Rudder, Badger Set Farms? Do you know that?
No, I don't know him.
Okay, so regenerative ag kind of integrated polyculture system. So he's actually growing hazelnuts and chestnuts as a replacement for corn and soy. Well, just to give you a quick example of your, I mean, and you probably know this, it's like get your field crops and just plant 30% trees, and you're losing 0 on your field crop and having a whole tree crop to add to it.
Right.
That's just integrated design. Yeah, so absolutely what you're saying resonates. We can knock the productivity out of the ballpark. We've done things but even with controlled environmental systems like with aquaponics, which we've done, oh man, the productivity is so insane. So it is not a matter of productivity.
Yeah. Okay. This is great. Okay. So now I want to go back and hear a little bit about what happened between 2004 and 2025 for you. What happened with open source ecology movement?
Yeah, so 2004 started that in name, and then moved onto a plot of land, 30 acres in Missouri, and been growing an experiment since then. So started by building machines, building things like compressed earth block press, because the first thing on a raw piece of land, so it's 30 acres of a former soybean field, and like 4 acres of forest on it. We had to build housing. So after building an earth bag hut, and understanding how much back-breaking labor that is for a minimal product. It's like, no, we can't start a new civilization on that yet. unless we have freedom. So, okay, let's get to freedom. Let's talk about better methods, say like compressed earth blocks. So we built a machine that does that. We've productized and sold some of the machines and things like that. So we started by building machines because we think that, oh yeah, there's technology that can actually help us. Great.
Yeah.
So started building all kinds of things related to agriculture, energy, like everything, survival. And that got me to the world stage at TED in 2011. So I have that's where I have the TED Talk on the Global Village construction set. And since then, it's been about prototyping and designing a lot of different things, the whole Global Village construction set, which we would like to finish by 2028. So we've built about 20 different prototypes of all different machines, and we've productized a few. Like if you talk about a full product release, right now we were getting into housing. So actually we have a real product, we call it a seed eco home, and it's a modular, easy to build kind of a house that we can actually build at 1/3 the labor cost of industry standards. Our total build cost is $100K compared to $180K in the industry. So this is just radical stuff. It's modular, open design, and this is how we're actually now bootstrapping the project. So revenue from that cross-subsidizing all the further research and development to get to the whole Global Village construction set. So right now we're at a phase of starting an apprenticeship. So over all the years, the pain point has been resources, right? So on the raw piece of land, basically went broke, started crowdfunding, discovered that in about 2009, and found financial independence. People were actually willing to support this. And then from then on, we started doing builds, workshops, and it was bare bones. This is shoestring budget territory, but you gotta do what you gotta do, to the point where in just this last year we finished the full so-called product release of the house, which now allows us to have a robust business model to scale this to where it needs to go. So our goal is to finish the entire set by 2028. We're talking about millions of revenue required to do that, because the bottom line is every single machine in that ecosystem, to get it to actually a refined product release, is about $1 million. We've spent perhaps like $1 million or $1.5 million on the house itself over the years. I mean, it's been many years. It's not like I'm not talking about big budgets here. This is like an average. Until now, this was like $100,000 per year average budgets for the last 2 decades until now. So the ship's coming home, so to say, based on all this work. But the idea there was that, okay, let's develop a revenue model that can actually sustain this, because the revolution will not be funded.
Right.
We still haven't discovered. I mean, I do see that what's going to happen, probably going to happen. So we're now at a pretty interesting transition point where we've got the product. Just got a viral video out there with 25 million views regarding the open source skid steer. Other things are happening. There's a lot of stuff happening, but we can build homes. We can make money. We can bootstrap fund the revolution. So it's a very optimistic time.
Okay, I have 2 questions about the funding side, and then I have another. I want to hear the practical questions about the housing, because I've gotten into this alternative housing things over the years. So I'm curious about the nitty-gritty of that. But first, it seems like the open source mentality would appeal to some subsets of Silicon Valley types. People who kind of do appreciate that kind of this old school sort of sharing computer guy, who likes the idea that we're sort of co-creating. Have you ever, would you morally, or is your value system not consider taking funding from a Silicon Valley type? Maybe not necessarily venture capital funding, but maybe, have you seen some resonance with those types? I mean, personally, I have very little in common with Silicon Valley type people, but I can see, the intersection there.
No, good question, and the answer to that is not really interested. Because that's not how you're going to fund a transformation of society. So by design, that pretty much eliminates this kind of a thing. Now, doesn't mean we don't need investment. We need $50 million of investment over the next couple of years. So this is what we're working on.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's not from somebody else. It's from us.
Yeah.
We
But what if,
can-
I mean, what if these Silicon Valley people saw themselves as one of us, one of you?
Well, we don't have any problem for anybody who wants to share. But if you're gonna just be part of a parasitic system, like where you're not producing wealth, you say you just got capital, but all you're interested in is, well, I mean, I would take it if there were no strings attached. But no strings attached would mean that there's not a parasitic load coming off our value generation forever, or whatever.
Yeah.
So there have to be some kind of a clear exit. But typically it's like, why do you want to return? Why don't you start a business using our open source plans
Right.
and make way more money? Don't be a parasite. Do something. So that's basically our take on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And right
that makes
now,
sense.
but check this out. The opportunity is insane. I gave you some numbers. I'm not sure if you can relate to them, but those are real numbers, and we have explicit data to show that. But the thing is, give me an entrepreneur, take those numbers, and run with it. It's a $5 million net per year business with a crew of 24 building 50 homes a year.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Another question I have on that is a practical one somewhat because, so when I lived in Uruguay, I lived in a room.
And why Uruguay, by the way? Like, why particularly Uruguay?
Oh, I was kind of like, I have this phrase called spreadsheet brain. It was a bit of a spreadsheet brain decision. It was like it's a safe place. It has really good soil, water table, stability, small country, like a lot of agrarian exports, that kind of thing. So it's like, it was a good place to learn these skills, to have a homestead, to have a small farm, and all of our neighbors are interested in, everyone has a cow, everyone has, their own well and their own water tower. You're not an outlier, in that society.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was a really great experience. But in Uruguay and in a lot of the developing world, not in the developed world, there's a lot more freedom to do things outside of this sort of like narrow bureaucratic technocratic system. And so now that I'm in the US, in Uruguay I had like a gray water garden and a solar water heater and a compost toilet, and we had our own well water, and we had our own sort of system we could build our own sort of ecological systems. But now I'm in Chicago and I can't do any of that stuff. I can't even get a wood stove. It's like so illegal or so expensive. And I'm wondering if you could back up and tell me like where we're at in this point in civilization. There are certain parts of, let's say, the core of the empire that are really, they clamp down on any kind of innovation or any kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that? Is that going to fall away? Is there going to be less enforcement? Like, how do we get these technologies into?
I think you have to extend the current model of regulatory capture to our work. So our model, humbly speaking, is, okay, open source wins because it's more efficient. Yeah, somebody's got to execute on that, true. But once you do that, where does your politics come from? It comes from the economy. So if we create a new economy, the politics fall. That's our mental model that we're acting upon. So basically, that means regulatory capture of open source distributed power to the world. What's that mean? That means we free the world. New paradigms where people are more productive, more sufficient, more powerful than ever before, that leads to a different society than the current welfare state. We believe in things like what's your new social security? You might have heard of universal basic income. Next thing beyond that, from our perspective, is universal basic resources. So instead of producing universal basic income concepts, which is still part of the welfare mentality, no, provide people and communities with the open source productive infrastructures where you can do this all for free. No, that's really the limit of the zero marginal cost society concept, where if you can avail this productive infrastructure to everybody, like, oh yeah, I'll just build my own car, a lifetime design car that lasts 50 to 100 years. And it's a community-based workshop that can do it. So you can have all kinds of enterprise built around that model, from turnkey production for people who don't want to touch a wrench, to people who, like me, who, I mean, I want to control that. I want to be in control of that. And right now, unfortunately, I cannot trust anybody else to do that for me, because the car companies are not, they're designed for obsolescence, right? So their business model is on recurring revenue, which is inconsistent with freedom.
Right. This is great. I completely agree with everything you're saying. It's just so great. I mean, it's also just so crazy that this model, the model that is advanced is just, everybody can feel at the moment, especially when it comes to, like, one thing I talk about, I've got a friend who's a diesel mechanic. Nobody asks for a lot of these things that these car companies put on their cars. I mean, nobody is even asking for all these hundreds of computers that they're putting on their cars, but they more easily break. And then you have more dependence on this sort of total planned dependence and no consumer wants that.
Exactly.
It's such a frustrating thing, and consumers are so frustrated by it.
That story is very common, and that's how we started the project. And just even right now, I got a brand new spanking Ram 35 dually truck. Brand new, 2018. Okay. Well, just yesterday, it wouldn't start. It wouldn't turn over. I'm like, not again.
Gotta be kidding me.
And I just laugh, because this is what we're solving, and we're going to solve that. We're committed to that. So if anybody wants to solve that, follow up on this podcast, look up learn.opensourceecology.org, because our goal is to recruit 75 now. So now we're talking about starting a school recruiting. 75 people we want to attract by May 1, 2026. Do this full time. Change the world right here. It's like, I'm pissed. It's like, I've been pissed at this, in 2000, what was it, like 2006 that my tractor broke, or 2006 or 8 and then started the whole thing. We gotta fix this. This is just not sustainable. It's a temporary sickness of civilization.
Yeah. And also, I mean, personally, do you feel, and I want to hear a little bit more about the school too, but personally, and this is a problem for a lot of doomer optimists, it's a little frustrating to be the Cassandra, not just the Cassandra, but somebody who sort of sees the whole system, and you see the whole system, you're trying to tell people, you're trying to sort of tell people that there's these totally different approaches, but then you're sitting there, like kind of just scraping by, trying to get your vision into reality.
Yeah, well, good news for you, Cassandras, to turn into Pollyanna, because we've got the technology and know-how and all the resources to do it. It's a shift your mindset, do it. Shut up. Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. Exactly. And that's one of the main frustrations with doomer optimism. The other thing is we've been doing it for like 3 years, but a lot of us have been doing something for a decade in advance of the podcast coming out. So we're sort of just talking to other people who have been through this whole long journey. Yeah. There's so many other sort of big thinkers out there, and all they do is talk doom, and they get so popular for just telling people like it's all going to end, everything is horrible. But in fact, when you tell people there are solutions, they're like not that interested.
Okay. But so I gotta bring the Pollyanna in here right now.
Yes, please do.
Because we've got a crisis, and this is study history. So I gotta point out this particular thing that I think was very formative for me, and reading the Green History of the World. Have you heard about that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So doomer optimists, the collapse is not coming. It's here already. Read history of the planet, the history of the planet, how we have been trashing it for about 10,000 years, how lush forests have turned to deserts. How about the Sahara, Mesopotamia? We've done it already. Stop complaining about the future. Like, it's not coming. It's already here. Now there's extremes, because now we've got extreme technology, extreme capacity of humans to destroy or create. So we are in a different position. But the news is good, and it's always has been. The resources are there, at least until the sun burns out. So if your time scale is longer than that, you're in trouble.
Then you should be a little
if your time scale is less than what? How long is the sun going to live? Like a billion years?
Yeah.
So if you're not thinking longer than a billion years, shut up.
And just get to work.
And get to work.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to hear about the school. The school is part of the school, I think I read, is learning to build this house, correct?
Yeah,
Learning how it works.
that
So
is.
talk me through it. Talk
Okay.
me through what kind. My friend, he's a big doomer optimist. He's a farmer. His
Yeah.
house just burned down, and this a
Oh.
year ago, which is so sad. But I mean, he built another one. But I was
An
trying to
opportunity.
convince him, like,
Yeah.
come on, do something different, do something radical. And I had
Yeah.
this. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Earth ship.
Of course.
Yeah, so we had some Earthship people come to Uruguay, and I got to meet that whole crew. And it's like, come on, do an Earthship, do something interesting. And he was like, the insurance money won't cover it, whatever. But I'm curious your nitty gritty of what is the house made out of?
Right.
What do you do start to finish
Yeah.
in this school? Yeah.
It's just a disclaimer. Earthships don't like it. Too expensive
Don't
and
like 'em.
proprietary. Well, concept
it's
is good, but
proprietary.
execution's not awesome.
No, I know.
So-
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the program, and then let's talk about funky construction technologies. So the program itself is, so we started the first announcement about the program starting last year already in September, but turnout is really bad, really bad. So what we're finding out is that people hate construction. Everyone loves to build their own home, but the proposition of, okay, come here, learn to be a builder, not pretty resonant. So we're shifting more to the idea, okay, we're going to build homes 2 days a week, and it actually generates revenue, but then in 3 days we do the full package. So this is all machines, R&D innovation, systems design, learning how to learn, and learning how to be a human, which starts with moral intelligence towards cultivating an abundance mindset. That is the goal. So both physically, practically, and then philosophically and spiritually get people to the point of scarcity to abundance as their operating system inside their mind. But
And how do you do that practically? Like, what does that look like?
well, so I would say there's many elements to that, but one practical step, you have to discover your power of unlimited productivity. The unlimited power you have right now, you have more power than kings of yore to generate revenue, change the world, to build things. People are not aware of this. They're not taking this seriously. Right now is the most optimistic times in history in terms of ability, also
Yeah.
danger and risk.
Right.
I won't deny that. But once you see that, politics becomes different. You see that you run the show. It's
Right.
not the man. So, I've been through all this kind of stuff, like deep in the Missouri underground, like sovereign citizen stuff. Oh, yeah, but I'm a
Right.
sovereign citizen. No, stuff like that. But the thing is, we have, this is really, it's a spiritual concept, it's a practical concept. We have unlimited power to do things. Technology certainly makes it quite available to us, and now with AI, actually interesting things about AI. Right now, can you believe that I'm getting AI to design the modules for the house into FreeCAD, the open source software?
Really?
I just learned this last week.
Oh my goodness.
This is new. This is like, this stuff is changing so fast.
Right.
So next step, for example, with AI is automated instructionals generation, which is hard. That is hard, like, because you need to understand patterns and stuff like that. But it will happen in the future. But anyway, we have great access to technology. So okay, I forgot what the question was.
Wait, I have another question about what the house building details.
Yeah,
but
house.
I have another. Before we go to that, which is, do you have a mental model? This is always the question. A lot of the doomer optimists are sort of like lean in the direction of just being a Luddite in general. Like, technology sucks, just because it's like it's been used. The hyper.
Yeah. Okay, I got a good one for you.
Like warp speed of technology. It's so dehumanizing. People are doing so many insane things. People are falling in love with AI. All this crazy stuff. So then, how do you have a mental model that you've worked out over the years? Because obviously you're not afraid of technology at all.
I'm not.
And even using AI to build, to develop your home building.
To build my mud huts.
Yeah, using AI to build mud huts. like what is your model for how to proceed well with technology?
This is huge. Are you ready? You sure you're ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
The answer: collaborate. Collaborate with people, collaborate with AI, share. That's it. Don't think technology is something else. It's your enemy. We're all in it together. Collaborate, period.
And collaborate with nature. I mean, for me, I'm like, think about the impacts of this use of anything you're doing with nature. I mean, my friend Peter Allen, who I think is like probably the most practically impactful ecologist I know, he has a tractor. You know, he has a tractor. There are ways to use these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
In service of ecology, in service of nature, in service of humanity.
You know why I want huge tractors and horsepower? Because I want to terraform this place from a degraded soybean field into a full ecology.
Right.
I want to dig rock so I can make solar concrete. Solar concrete. So we've got, and this is, for example, real. 100 kilowatts are going on our big workshop right now, and we're going to burn rock to make concrete.
No way.
Using solar energy. First in the world. And we're going to aim to, so stuff like, yes, how about an economically viable model that actually does that? So I can show you the numbers that with even as little as 100 kilowatts, we can do this and make real product that can decentralize concrete production. $1 trillion industry. Oh, that's just many of the things we talk about. But you see the possibility here. It's like take anything and do that to it. It could put infinite possibilities, starting with the principle that we've got abundant energy to do it. And right now, I don't know if people know, solar, 20 cents a watt. What does that mean? That 100 kilowatt array, $20,000. 100 kilowatts is enough for a village.
Right.
People, things are getting near zero. Marginal cost economics are coming in. Yeah, technology is available.
The more I hear you talk, the more I feel like the main thing you need is an army of smart people.
Yeah.
To help you develop this.
Absolutely. And the number was 24 until about a week ago. Now it's 75 by May 1st.
Yeah.
That means we're going to have to learn how to build. That's what we do. We do extremely efficient building. So right now we're looking at, okay, we're going to build out a bunch of cabins, a bunch of small 10 by 12, like in college dorm apartments, using our modular build system, which we knock out of the ballpark. So if you look at some of our stuff, look at the learn.opensourceecology.org video. There's a video about how we do it. And so this is it. What we're trying to solve for now is bodies, people.
Yeah.
To do
and
this.
I think not just, and I think one thing I'll say, at least having developed doomer optimism over the years now, because I was sort of like, I think early on in my trajectory, it was sort of lonesome. Like you have a few people who are interested in these things, but you get more and more narrow your social group, the more seriously you take these questions, and willing to live your life around them. But I think, now having done doomer optimism for a while, I have this sort of like friendship theory of change, meaning when you go to a school like what you're describing, this was similar with the Earthship Academy, and I know you have your critiques of Earthship, but they have these schools, and when you come out, you end up becoming part of a network of really smart, thoughtful, very interesting people who are not afraid to use their agency, who are actually quite important actors in the world. Yeah, go ahead.
Not afraid? Okay, if they're not afraid, do open source. That I think is actually ultimate. If you're not like economically, so entrepreneurial, not afraid equals open source.
Right, exactly.
And then
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yes, that little network, all it takes is this very minor investment of time and effort. So just to give you some real figures, we need $50 million to complete the Global Village construction set. What is the productive value of that? $11 trillion for all the industry and productivity. So it's 1,000 million time return on investment. That is worth it. And that's what keeps me up.
Yeah, right. No, that's good. Okay, so now let me hear, I want to hear the nitty gritty about the house.
Okay. So started out here and living in an earth bag hut. It took 2 months of back-breaking labor to build with my partner. 150 square feet. Put your internet and hot and stove, wood stove in there, and you're set for the next few years. Okay, but then so we did the compressed earth blocks. So actually, most of the houses here are built with compressed earth blocks. But for the production model, we went the easy way. So compressed earth block is very difficult. A 4x8 wall section weighs like 2 tons. So this is not stick frame construction. So in the first releases of the CDCO home, we're just doing plain modular builds with stick home common off-the-shelf parts. But we still include features like 6 kilowatts of photovoltaics as stock with all our builds. We just don't build without that. And ecological features like heat pump or super efficient appliances and all that, that's in there, and a super insulated roof. So we do have a few features, but this is just to make the dollars while still producing lower cost housing and then retrofitting all the other features. So for example, as we start up next year, we're going to introduce, go back to the compressed earth block. So now, given that we have the basic model, we can start now adding things which are just much more difficult to execute. Because, for example, I don't know if you know, but compressed earth block housing is expensive legacy housing. Unless you're in a third world where you bust out your Sinvaram and build it yourself. Yeah. But here we're talking about expensive products. That part of the expense and why we did the earth brick press is because we can build ours for 5,000 in materials and we sell them for 10. The nearest competitor at the productivity is 50K. Right. So all of that is expensive. There's expensive machines that break, that mean that CB house, which is very labor intensive, unless you have like 50 people building, you need tractors and heavy equipment. Right. And that in America is extremely expensive. The return on investment for what you pay for a tracked skid steer over life is 2 to 3. That's a bad return on investment. It's called treadmill ROI. Like you buy that and you have to buy it again in 5 years because you're going to have to throw it out because it breaks. So anyways, but we're getting into all these things that the PV is already stocked. The next feature we're doing it is thermal batteries. What's that? You're just storing heat from a heat pump in water so that at night you are not running your heat pump, you're running basically heat exchanging the heat stored in water. So now that addresses that big issue of solar intermittency. So every house model we build, we put in new things, new innovation just to make this. Some of the next stuff will probably be like passive house, because right now we're nowhere near like any passive house or whatever, but natural materials like
passive solar, passive house type things, or insulation.
And the other stuff is there's about $20,000 of materials that you can actually 3D print. So right now, yes. So in the bill of materials for the house, it's a total of $60K for the bill of materials. $20K can be 3D printed. About $20K we can save if we make our own lumber. So that's investing in right now we're looking at a Norwood sawmill that can produce thousands of dollars worth of lumber like in 8 hours, right? So that's worth it. The payback time of that is a few days of milling, right? So we're going to do that. We're getting excited about that. 3D printing, the compressed earth blocks, the solar concrete. I mean, as simple as like a type of a kiln like you use in pottery, that kind of a system for batches, you can do exactly that. And you can run it off your DC of the photovoltaics, so you don't even need inverters, right? So,
wait, do you know this guy, Alexis Siegler from Living Energy Farms?
No, I don't.
Name? He was on the podcast, but his big thing is developing DC appliances. So you should know him. Definitely put him on your to meet list. I think he's in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely meet. There's only a few people out there like you, Marcin, who are this committed. It's like you and Michael Reynolds and Alexis Siegler, a couple Peter Allen people who are really thinking about the practical systems and practical ways to use tech in service of humanity and freedom. I mean, really, and ecology. Talk a little bit more about the whole construction set.
Yeah.
Are there sort of I remember I
So
looked into this way back in the day, but are there
mhm.
like is it like, food, energy? Is it
Yeah, yeah.
set in different categories?
There's all kinds of groups, and yeah, like for agriculture, there's all the stuff like an agricultural combine, a milker, a dairy milker, a bakery oven. So these
Right.
kinds of things we're actually going to be now at this stage, 20 years from the start. We're actually going to we started in agriculture, and in 20 years we're returning to agriculture after having mastered the technology. So this is a
Yeah.
very interesting time. Like this is what
Yeah.
I was. In fact, I mean, this is what I was looking for. Like when we started, we found that wait a minute, I need some machines, and I
Mm.
cannot do what I need with the existing machines out there.
Yeah.
And part of that is the ecology part, product ecology, like industrial ecology combined with natural ecology. Like
Right.
you cannot do an integrated farm operation. Okay, who how many dairy slash bakery fruit operate, like all these different product categories do you know? Well, part of that is the equipment for any dedicated operation like that is out of control expensive, so you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
only
Totally.
afford to do like one thing, and you're lucky if you
Yes.
do.
Right.
We're saying, okay, no, let's make the equipment not an issue. Let's talk about integrated agroecology as the new norm, distributed community supported agricultural operations everywhere, because you can actually handle the technology that allows you to do it, right?
Yep.
And all solar and renewable. You're making your own fuels,
Yep.
whichever way. So the product ecology of the global village construction set, that's all about these different groups. So like in agriculture, we got all the agriculture machines, like tractor, of course, hay rake and baler and things like
Right.
that. In production, you've got things from 3D printers to CNC torch tables with which you can build your own tractor, to the
Right.
CNC mill with which you can make your own engine,
Mm.
to the steel melting and metal rolling with which you can make the steel for your tractor and engine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the beauty is insane. Like it's just beautiful the way you can think about it. Our idea is actually so 1,000 acres anywhere in the world, but you have to have soil and water. Anywhere in the world, you can bootstrap a full civilization to spaceships and microchips from that local area. All the elements are there, typically.
It's incredible.
Aluminum from clay, smelting aluminum from clay. That's in the global village
Yes.
construction. That's kind of like this radical technology there that we're throwing in just for fun, perhaps, but it's
Yeah.
doable, and that has been done commercially. And
Right.
once we open source it, it's going to be 10 times less expensive and therefore
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah.
But you can start with simple things like, okay, here's recycling. You've got aluminum and steel. So we talk about things like massive shredders that now you can shred up your tractors and cars and make virgin steel from it. So things like that.
Mm.
Energy,
Right.
there's a bunch of devices there. There's hydraulic power for heavy machines and things like that. So basically think of, name one thing that you think is a common commodity product, and I'll let you know. Tell me one. What do you need?
Wheat.
Wheat, yeah, we got the tractor, combine, agricultural equipment. We've got the steel to make it. We've got make the machines and engines and stuff. So we can start from dirt and twigs to get there. Next,
Yeah. Dairy.
yeah, obviously we've got that. That's in there. So
Yeah.
so think about like so you got your dairy operation. You can do like chicken tractors with slow move because of course a free range chicken is a dead chicken. So you got your tractors moving on slow solar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slow solar, which we can have just a tiny solar panel with a hydraulic motor. You can drive that like 1,000 feet a day off a little solar panel. Things
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, you asked me by email right before we were started recording, and I thought maybe this would be a good thing to
Yeah,
talk about.
maybe
But
segue to that.
so this question of a set of subsistence machines is a weird one because or it's a difficult one because I think one of the things I lament the most is that it feels like humanity was right on the cusp of developing this sort of like super diverse, super distributed set of sort of subsistence machines. And then
When?
fossil fuel industrial machines came in and everything sort of scaled up and became like centralized. And then
Aha.
a lot of those machines sort of fell away or people stopped developing them, and so
Ah,
it's one of
interesting.
those things where I think there's a little bit of that, maybe like a magazine like Low Tech
Yeah,
magazine.
yeah,
They have a lot of these. They're sort of keeping the alive a lot of these plans of people who are right on the cusp of developing the sort of widely distributed set of
yeah,
machines that anybody could use and anybody could fix. But now it's centralized to the point that everybody's doing sort of corn and soy, and the
yeah,
dairies are all industrial, and everything is pigs in crates and all of this stuff.
yeah,
And there's not like really one source anymore of that information. I mean, outside of somebody like Joel Salatin or
yeah,
people who are like aggregators of a bunch of. I feel like we have a distributed network of farmer inventors out there. They're small. There's probably only a few thousand of them in the United States, but there's no like source for them to
yeah,
all sort of come together and share
yeah.
their information and plans.
Yeah, and the first thing that comes to my mind, open source it. Like Joel Salatin, I would call open source. He produces his full business model of how you do the integrated chicken operation and stuff like that,
Yep.
or
Yep.
whatever. But to anyone else, show me your plans. Like if
Right.
you've got a successful operation, if you share that, you're gonna make millions. No, I mean share that with the world.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
remember, like, so I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison for undergrad, and I was, in the driftless region. I had a friend there, a forester, who introduced me to forestry. But so there was a lot of interesting CSA operations there, and I was like, oh yeah, Ben, hey, can I do that? Can I replicate? And it's like, well, no, people don't share, right? They've got a very successful, high profit CSA operation. No, sorry, can't touch it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. So the message to everybody out there is, if you've got anything meaningful, don't be afraid and share. And this is how the transformation of what we're talking about in this, from doomer to optimism, that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, by the way, Peter, my friend, he's in the driftless region.
Yep.
He went to Madison too. It's
Yeah.
very cool. There's a certain hot spots where a lot of these people end
Yes,
up
there
in the
are.
Appalachia and the driftless, like some parts of California. So it's interesting. Like where Joel Salatin is, the Shenandoah Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's these hot spots of people that we've sort of identified over the years with Doomer Optimism, where people
Mm-hmm.
are really they've been experimenting for a long time and are sort of ready to integrate, ready to scale up, ready to share more across. So I think I agree with you. We're at a very interesting moment. And how do people get in touch with you to sort of be a part of this, to share their information with you? Like, what is the best way to integrate
Email me
with
at
open source
marcin at
technology?
opensourceecology.org or info at opensourceecology.org. Sign up for the Future Builders Academy. We're building a
Yeah.
future here. So I would say go start with learn.opensourceecology.org and reworking that program, because we found out that nobody wants to sign up for 4 years, because I basically said, okay, for me to teach you all that I know, like I think it's teachable in 4 years, like
Yeah. Yeah.
just like the basic paradigm shift and all that, an abundance mindset. I can teach you that in 4 years. I think it's going to take that long,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
need practical skills and philosophical skills and all that. But
Yeah.
we're finding out that nobody's going to sign up for the 1 to 4 year thing. So we're saying, okay, let's do these 3 month chunks. We could
Yeah.
even scholarship you. You've got the 2 days of work and 3 days of R&D and P productization work. But get involved in this. This is like, we can actually fund it. We have a revenue model that can sustain this. But then my question to you, like you just said, okay, all these networks of the nodes that are doing interesting stuff, but how do we put it together? So my question is there an integrated operations plan that could embody all that? For us, we actually do have one. It's called
Yeah.
building a village.
No, we
Building
do.
a,
I don't, because part of what
Mhm.
I'm worried about is a little bit worried about legibility. It's like seeing like a state, this whole thing, you don't want
Yeah.
people to be, a lot of the people are sort of on the margins. They're sort of libertarian leaning, maybe what they're doing is a little bit illegal. Like Joel Salatin has a book, Everything I Want to Do is Illegal.
Yeah.
And this kind of thing. So it's like, first, I think, and we're already doing this, we're sort of building these trust networks of like people who know each other, know each other's work, and have built relationships over time. And so for me, the obvious thing would be to have you meet a lot of the Doomer optimists, especially the ones who I think of as our superstars, people who have been doing this kind of thing for a really long time, and just start working together and start
Do a lot.
developing.
Do a lot of those show up at the conference?
Yes, usually, and usually, like there's a handful that do. There's also the other thing about people like, maybe not people like you, but people who are really hardcore agentic people, is they're also non-joiners. Do you know what I mean by that? Like they
Uh,
don't, they're like any group that would have me as a member, I don't want to be a member. They're just like they're doing their own thing. They're on their
that's not
homestead.
collaborative.
I know. But I think that they would collaborate with the right group, but they have to
Hmm.
be, you have to prove it to them that you're worthy of their time, in
Yeah.
other words. You know what I mean by that?
No,
Yeah.
I get it, but I also say that that's part of the culture. Like people are so resigned. It's like, as I said, the secret sauce is open source. Collaborate. That's the
Yeah.
magic word. Push
Yeah.
yourself, because we all want to be autistic sociopaths. I mean, it's like you're talking to one, but no. The mission is a little bigger.
Yeah.
If we want to
Totally.
transform this place, we got to all own it, and it's all together. Yeah, it's a collaborative
Yeah,
effort.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, next step, you go to, what is it, learn.opensourceecology.org? Is that
Yep.
right? To sign
Yep.
up. Okay, so that for sure, everybody who's listening to this, especially one thing I run into a lot. I have two sort of sets of people who listen to the podcast. One are
Yep.
people who are like, I guess like you and I, who've been sort of psychotically focused on learning these skills and doing something really like big. And then another set of people who are just sort of opening up to the optimism.
Yeah.
They've been through a hard realization. A lot of people had a big realization during COVID, like, oh wow,
Mhm.
these systems are not actually set up in a way that's leading to human flourishing, and I'm a little
Yeah.
worried about the future.
Yeah.
That's second set. There's a lot of young people who are seeking direction, and not just seeking direction, but seeking something to do something meaningful with their lives. And they just
Yeah.
think like a lot of young people are told like, oh, the climate is changing, like we're like life on Earth as we know it is over, and all this sort of like doomer. Um, it's almost like people are peddling doom to these young people as a way to like make them feel like they have no agency. And I think there's a lot of young people who are sort of coming out of that haze, like they really want guidance, they want direction, they want inspiration, they want
Mhm.
to be a part of something important. And I think, like, if I think about your school, this is a perfect example of something important that would change sort of the trajectory
Yeah.
of any young person's life if they took it seriously and made it their mission.
Absolutely. Do you have a lot of prepper types?
We
in your
have
group?
some. We have a lot of prepper adjacent type people.
Prepper
Yeah.
adjacents. So there's just ran into this. Matt Smith wrote a book called, and Doug Casey wrote a book called The Preparation.
Oh, I know them. I know Matt.
Oh, you know Matt?
I know he's in Uruguay. Yeah, I met him before.
You met him in Uruguay?
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But I think that's amazing, because what they're saying there, don't go to college. Do these
Yeah.
16 different things, 3 months
Yeah.
each, and your skill set and mindset is going to be blown open.
Yeah. You should have Matt's son come to your school. I know
Yeah.
him. I know the son. He's really, really bright.
Yeah, I was just watching him on YouTube yesterday. He's got I'll share this. He said, out of the 16 tracks, don't choose the entrepreneurship one. That's too hard. Start with something like EMT or builder or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the entrepreneurship part, that's the hard part, where
Yeah.
you need all this. First, you got to
Other
start
skills.
with that thing of, you got to think things are possible and have that productivity or that infinite power under you before you step onto that entrepreneurship thing. Because without it, you don't have the confidence.
Totally. So I would definitely share this with a lot of I don't have as huge of a reach as some other people, but share this with the young people that I know. We could maybe even see if Matt and his son will share this as a potential option for the preparation. For people who don't know what that is, it's sort of like this alternative to college. Matt Smith, he's a little older than me. He's got a son who's like college age, and he was telling him and his son are sort of like exploring this alternative to college, which is sort of a series of experiences, life experiences that sort of develop into an adult. And it was really cool. He did something like sail around the bottom of South America, and learn to be an EMT and do a lot of practical hands-on things. And I know Matt Smith. He's also big into regenerative ranching. He took my my homesteading course online, and then we met in person. And his son's like, he's just from the United States. I think he's from the suburbs, and he's out there on horseback on the ranch in Uruguay, just like, learning all these skills, which is great, I think, and very important.
Yeah. Interestingly, so Matt was talking about it. Yeah, he'll put what we do is called the Future Builders Academy and Future Builder Crash Course. He said he'll put it in there as the thing. Actually, he thinks it's going to be better than the Shelter Institute.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah. Okay.
So that's really cool. So you have done some programs online, like your.
I did one little homesteading class during the pandemic, as people were a lot of people were moving rural during the time, and so I always say I'm still just sort of a novice homesteader, but I knew a lot of people who had been doing it, small farming or homesteading for like a decade and a half. So I plucked all of them and had them teach classes like, let's teach small scale poultry, let's teach goats and sheep, let's teach cows, let's do dairy, let's do this kind of thing. So people who are completely brand new to it, who are trying to do it, would at least have a little bit of guidance and mentorship. So they're, I know a lot of people when they first get out onto the land, it's very overwhelming.
Was the turnout good, or?
It was like, it was like 30 people in an online class, or maybe 50 people, something around that. So it was good. I mean, it was, I got to pay my instructors. It was a fun thing to do during the pandemic, as a lot of people were, getting out onto land and completely didn't know what they were getting themselves into. But yeah, I mean, there's my sense, like in terms of where we are in history and civilization, is that we are kind of in this period where, I don't know if you follow John Michael Greer's work, but he's often made the argument that there's like stair steps of collapse, meaning like there's a crisis where everybody sort of like, like the pandemic, where everybody sort of reevaluates the trajectory of their life, and like this sense of security that maybe they felt that the systems aren't as secure and aren't as stable as they thought they were, and then they make some changes in their lives, and then some of those people make those changes, but then a portion of those people sort of go back to business as usual when things return to quote unquote normal, and it's just sort of this period of like crisis and response back and forth. And I pretty much buy that we're in this sort of period where people take a lot of convincing to get out of their normal habits and way of thinking. And I have heard the quote, Americans always do the right thing when they have no other choice. And I think that applies to people in general. People always do the right thing when they have no other choice. But there are some people who are really sort of at this sort of doom precipice, where they've come through this whole, I guess like period of learning about where we are at and their civilizational cycles, and they want to do something optimistic. Well,
I've got good news. Regenerative CSAs are going to sprout and replicate like mad throughout the U.S. and the world. Distributed manufacturing, and all of that. It's all going to be real.
It's all coming.
It's all coming.
Yeah. So be ahead. The other John Michael Greer quote is collapse and avoid the rush. Collapse now and avoid the rush. So it's helpful. Of course, it's not collapse; it's just a transformation. And I do think that your vision is very much one of a great and potentially extremely wonderful and abundant transformation, if we so choose to try to get ahead of it.
Yeah, the future is abundance. That's all I gotta say.
I love it. All right, well, thank you so much, Marcin. It was so good to talk with you. You're just I feel like we're old friends. I've been following this open source ecology forever, and you're a quintessential doomer optimist, so you're part of the club now. We're going to have you come out to one of these events so you can meet the rest of the crew.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, good. That was awesome. That was such a nice conversation.
Great.
We have this next thing. The next event is kind of more, although it would be good if you came. It's kind of more about how to live with technology, like how to navigate technology. This is rapid advancement of technology. A lot of the questions are like, so it would be really helpful if you came, I think, too, because a lot of people are sort of feeling this sort of like weight and doom of like, oh gosh, AI is advancing so rapidly. How do we navigate this? Like my kids and screens and, the internet and all this stuff. And so it would be good to have you come in sort of as a counterpoint. Like technology is not our enemy.
So let me ask you this. So because the answer is super clear, it's collaborate and get involved. Like, don't talk about the AI. Like right now, with the AI itself, you can be making new AI that's actually more benign. Like, but I think the block is people don't know where to start. Like, they do not understand that infinite power that they see others wielding over them is also not theirs. And that's not right. That's not an accurate mental model, because everyone's so close to having that ultimate power. And that's what I actually want to do with, so we're going to do this, actually about the online course, but we're going to do an online course. It's going to be called the Future Fab Crash Course. But basically, I'm going to teach you can design and build anything right now. Collaboratively, right now. And here's all the critical tools and insights you need to understand. And a lot of it is just a psychological game. You gotta become aware that this is all doable and possible.
I think part of it too is like a lot of people are seeing like their values sort of go down the drain because they don't have the power to determine like how AI gets used, but they do actually have the power. I mean, they could use it in the way that's in accordance with their values, or like, you know, any of these technologies, they could use it in a way that puts more of what they want to see in the world. But right now they're just like I was saying, a lot of people just get reactionary and try to turn towards be a Luddite, like just get me away from this, just turn the computer off, just throw it in the garbage, you know, like that kind of thing, you know.
So what's your thought on that? So you've transcended that. I'm hearing that you're pretty much beyond that. So how do you get people to transcend that?
I mean, I think part of it, you do have to just show that it is possible, and to just complicate the AI versus whatever the alternative would be, Luddite or nature or whatever. I mean, I've talked about this a lot, but you know, any technology is a tool. Even a stone, even holding a rock in your hand is a tool. You know, and you could use it to break open a walnut, or you can use it to bash somebody's head. You know what I mean? So I think you really need to just get into people's head and then demonstrate.
Here's a rock, yeah.
You have to show, it's not tell. Like, for example, I say, like, you know, people are like, oh,
yeah,
you know, I'm never showing my kids a screen ever, and you know, I'm saying, well, okay, you know, I watch movies from the '90s with my kids. It's great. I love it. You know, it's a fun. You know, just to normalize, there's these like sort of middle ground that isn't so black and white, but you just have to get people are kind of scared. I mean, you know, it's so rapidly advancing, then they think they can control it by cutting it out completely. And instead we could make the argument that you can control it by using it well, which is hard, but you can still do it. And it's a skill. I mean, it's an art. It's an art form. It's a skill.
Man, but look at the fundamental concept there. That's so easy. Rock, crack a walnut. Rock, crack somebody's head. I mean, it's as simple as that. So
we should say that at the event. You should come and talk about that.
Yeah. I mean,
use that metaphor.
But how? I mean, why is that so difficult to get? I mean,
people are just so scared. They think it's insidious. I mean, especially when it comes to kids, like. It's so hard to teach kids discernment. Like, they get this screen in front of them, and then like my daughter's friends, she's in 7th grade, so she's 12, and they have phones. But what they end up doing is they just look at these short form videos and scroll, and no parent is teaching them any discernment with that. And so then they're afraid, if I give my kid this tool, they're gonna do. And I say, like, I give my kid certain tools and I teach them how to use them. That's your job. That's what civilization is. You got to teach them, you know? So they're just afraid, like the tool's too powerful for their own capacities to manage it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm trying to think about, well, how do I get past that myself? Because, I mean, certainly it's like, right now I'm talking about microchips and spaceships. Take me like 10, 20 years ago, it's like, Or even like, back in Madison, I thought, wait, what would it be like if we actually built our own cars that were lifetime design and, you know, hydrogen power? You could do all of that. Like, I mean, And it's like, but it was a radical idea at the time. I didn't think I had any power to do it, but I learned over time. I was hungry, and I'm like, no, this is doable. But see, unfortunately, the difficult part about it is it's a spiritual journey. And that's harder to teach.
It is spiritual. Yeah, it is. And you do, and it's and not only spiritual. It is. There's this book, Eric Fromm. It's called The Art of Loving, where he argues basically like love isn't just some ephemeral thing that you grab onto. It's a skill. It's a skill set. And it happens between two people. So it's like it's actually like a cultivated thing that you have to work on. It's not just
Oh.
like, oh, love pops in and all of a sudden it's there or
Oh,
not.
wow.
It's like it's
Wow.
a skill set. It's a thing you learn to discern over time.
Yeah,
It's
just like I said, abundance is not a hippie ideal. Just love is not a hippie ideal either.
no,
Right?
I mean it's something you actually have to work at. You have to do some work to get
Yeah.
there and to learn how to discern that. And it's really a spiritual journey. I mean, a psychological journey. You have to figure out how to make it work.
What's the best book on that you said?
It's called The Art of Loving, by Eric Fromm. I think it's from like the 40s, the 50s. Some people say it's the best book ever written on love, and he's like, there's different types of love. There's the love of a parent to a child, but from a husband to a wife. There's all these types of love, a mentor to a mentee, a godparent. This that are
Oh,
or
wow.
between siblings, and all of those take a certain type of skill and practice. It's not really just like I love you, and all of a sudden that came from nowhere. You
Yeah,
cultivate that. You cultivate it over time.
yeah. Might have to
and it-
add
use
that
that.
to our reading list. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So look, the next thing I'll do is I'm starting to send out invites to this event. So I'll send you an invite to this event if you can make it. I don't know, are you teaching at that time? It's July 10th to 12th.
10th through the 12th. Well, the program's starting May 1, so yeah,
Okay.
May, June, July.
Yeah,
That's
so
gonna
you'll
be
be
3 month
busy
session.
maybe?
But maybe
Or I don't
Where's
know if
it-
you could get away for a weekend. It's in a little bit upstate from New York City.
no, I think that would be probably worth it to make it because I want to meet all the people.
Yeah.
Are all the heavy hitters going to appear there?
I
or-
don't know. That's always the thing. I'm like, you never know who's going to show up or who has stuff. Like Peter, my friend Peter, who I said you should meet, he has a farm, so it's always like a question of can you get somebody to watch the place and
Mhm.
To come out and that kind of thing. So I'll send it out. You don't have to decide yet, but just put it on your calendar, save the date, and then we'll keep talking more. You should definitely meet this Alexis guy. I've only had him on the podcast once, but reach out to him, and then you really need to know Peter, probably Peter Allen, Macedon Valley. He's like your level of thinker about where we're going in the future
Mhm.
and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
There's only a few people out there who I think have sort of reached your level.
Okay, but but let's take Peter for example. So does he have a viable farm?
Yeah.
And does he like share all his info about how to do it?
I
or-
don't know if like anyone has ever asked him to write his business plan down. I don't know. I know I was at a conference once with him talking about his model, and he was sharing everything.
Yeah.
When
hopefully.
people ask him, he's like, here's the model I'm using. It's a meat CSA, and he's explaining this is why I tried a bunch of different things, and this one ended up working out the best, and here's why, that kind of thing. But I don't know if he's ever written it down and shared it. I don't know that.
Because so we're actually going to restart our agriculture program here, but maybe that's the thing to do. It's to collect those business models, talk explicitly. Okay, this is a viable operation. It should be replicated because it's good. Let's do that and make that. Because we talk a lot about enterprise models and all of that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
He would
to
be
do.
a good person to reach out to. If you want me to I can also make an introduction if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Please do.
Okay.
So you think that the cooperation there would be like what to? I mean, outside of just
Well, if you're trying to get some models,
That
the agricultural
really work, yeah.
models, like maybe he would be willing to share his model, and then it's one of those things. If once you know him, he's like a really good go-to agricultural resource, and especially when it comes to questions of ecology and regenerative ag. Like, for example, in the United States, when it comes to regenerative agriculture, almost everybody I meet who has a serious rotational grazing operation has learned from Peter. They've gone to Peter's class.
Mm-hmm.
He
And what
teaches a
animals
class.
does he do? Just
He
is it
does
just-
cows, sheep, and goats, and pigs, I think, and chickens.
all of those at the same time, or are you
All of
talking
those,
about?
but not dairy. Not dairy, I don't think.
So it's an integrate one of these
It's
integrated
integrated,
things.
and then he's trying. His big thing is to turn his landscape, which was once hills, forested hills, and a commodity crop valley, to an oak savanna. That both the forested hills are oak savanna and the low. So he's like cutting trees from one part and planting trees in another. He also bought a mill and felled and milled his own trees and built his own house out of his own forest. So he was like, oh, I'm sequestering carbon in my house, in the walls of my house.
Yeah.
But like a timber frame home, and it took, I think he's been on the land for 15 years or something. So he said, I'll build my wife a house in the first 4 years, and I think it took like 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
But
How,
that happens to
how,
all
for
of us.
example, Peter Allen
Yeah.
differ from Joel Salatin? Like, because Joel's got the rotational grazing stuff too. Like, what's the difference?
I don't really know enough about the nitty gritty about what Joel. I don't know that Joel knows that much about like the ecology and like the soil science and stuff. I don't know. Maybe he does. But like Peter's got this method where you've got and you want to bunch them together, this and you've got to move the cattle through or the animals through, but it has to be like based on how much they eat down, so it's different in the spring than it is. You're like always watching the landscape kind of thing. I don't know if Joel has like a set paddock rotational grazing thing, and Joel also does the chickens following behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
To eat the parrot. So I think it's pretty similar. But then I think Peter's big
he has
thing.
chickens too?
Yeah, he has chickens.
Okay.
Peter's big thing, though, is that we actually do want an oak savanna, meaning we want trees integrated into the landscape. And there's something actually really important about some of that cover.
Well, absolutely. But so he's saying oak savanna plus the animals and everything else?
Yeah.
Okay. That I like.
Yeah.
Because, I believe that's the future. It's like you got integrated agroecology. What is
Yes.
that? What is that? J. Sholto Douglas?
Oh, I don't know this guy.
It's forest farming.
Oh, forest farming. Yes, yeah, I do know that. I knew that. And tree crops. Tree crops was like this old book from forever ago and never really took off.
Tree crops,
but he's
permanent
like,
agriculture.
He's really, really big on the trees as an important part of the system.
Oh, I'm all over that. So
yeah.
I'm all over that. We've got
so
chestnuts and hazelnuts. So I don't know. So you don't know Badger Set research? To me, that's like it's along the lines of the land. It's bigger than Land Institute because Land Institute is annual crops they're perennializing. But this guy,
Badger Set research. I can't believe I have